Evening, folks. How we doing? Hope you're all good. I'm just giving people the traditional faffing about time that you tend to get with people logging into Zoom and such like. And I'm just going to grab my cup of tea. So in a minute or two, we will get into it. So thanks for coming, and see you in literally a minute or so. All right, let's get into it, shall we? So, hi guys, how we doing? Flipping heck, it's muggy today, isn't it? I had taekwondo last night in this kind of conditions, and I've never sweated so much in my life. And then today, because I thought I hadn't worked hard enough, I had a PT session, and it was even muggier. And oh my god, I couldn't even see for the sweat. It's disgusting. So it's very, very muggy. It looks like it's about to storm. Which when I was at art college, our teacher was a bit woo-woo and used to tell us when there's a lightning storm, you're at your most creative. So we have to get back in the studio and get working on our art projects. So in a way, it's good to be doing stuff like this, marketing things, when there's a storm, because supposedly our brains are at their most fired up when the atmosphere breaks like this from being really muggy and going into a storm. We get this kind of kick of inspiration and energy. So we might as well use it, right? So I'll move away from the cup of tea screen. It's Rick's digital clinic. And I wanted to firstly check who's here, who's awake. So there's a little raise your hand feature in Zoom, so we might use that now and again. Yeah, I see it's popping up. It's showing me. Thank you. It's good, isn't it? It's like a like on Facebook, but in Zoom. So I want to talk to you about SEO tonight, and in particular, local SEO for local people. And I'll walk you through the 8 most important factors that Google monitors in order to decide where to place you in the local search results. But before we get into that, I've got a little bit of housekeeping to talk to you about, and then I'm also going to do a bit of a separate bonus chat with you about blogging and email marketing. So firstly, the housekeeping bit, there's a few elements of functionality in Zoom. There's quite a few buttons available. We're going to use the raise hand feature if I want to get a bit of feedback from you. The chat area, treat that like the bar. So if you want to talk amongst yourselves, that's fine. Use the chat bit. If you want to ask a question for me to come back to, use the Q&A bit, because it's easier for me to organize what I've answered and what I haven't, rather than going through the chat panel. So that's just the housekeeping stuff. You are free to take comfort breaks whenever you like. There will be a recording of this afterwards, so don't worry. I won't pause live and we'll wait for you. But but you're free. There's no fire alarms expected. If a fire alarm does go off, it's in your own house, and I would grab the nearest child and leg it. So that's the housekeeping bit done. So as I said, there's a bit of a bonus talk first before we get into Google Juice. And that is about blogging and email marketing, because with all the talk of SEO and social media and pay-per-click ads, blogging and email marketing often get forgotten or dismissed as a bit old-fashioned, but actually nothing could be further from the truth. And I just want to remind you guys, some of the benefits of these stalwarts of online marketing. So let's just get into that, and let's just start at the beginning. So what is a blog? So just to check we're singing from the same hymn sheet, I just wanted to start literally with the definition. So blog comes from the term weblog. It's short for that. And it's literally a regularly updated website or page. And it's normally written in quite a informative or conversational style. That's what a blog is, in case you didn't know. We're all used to seeing them, to reading them. But the question is for you guys, are we good at writing them? Are we good at regularly writing our own blogs? And why should we be? Well, the benefits of blogging, there's quite a lot. So I'm going to walk you through some of them. I'm going to try and persuade you to get into this or to delegate this discipline of blogging. So first wow kind of stat about blogging is that small businesses that regularly blog have a 434% increased chance of ranking well on Google for relevant search terms, and therefore driving traffic and interested people to their website. So there you go. Straight away, blogging delivers a return on its investment, whether that investment is your time or the money that you spent outsourcing your blogging. There's a 434% higher chance, if you're regularly blogging, of ranking on Google as compared to not having a blog at all. Second wow stat about blogging is, on average, according to HubSpot, which is a global marketing platform, websites and small businesses that maintain a regular blog achieve 67% more leads and inquiries through their website than those without a blog. So there you go. Let's just see those again. Number one, if you blog, you have a 434% increased chance of ranking on Google. And if you regularly blog, you will get 67% more leads than those that don't. So that's the first two things to say. But not only that, people trust blogs. Research has shown that people trust well-written blog articles. They think about the author, that's you, starting tomorrow. They think about the author as a subject matter expert. So, and don't forget, by far the majority of us only read blogs. Not many of us write them or make the effort or the investment to write them. So most people see blog writers as experts in their field. This is because you come across as credible. You know your stuff if it's well written. And this is really important, this trust bit, because it's one of the three critical elements that you need for someone to buy stuff from you. And in fact, if you know what those three things are, put your hands up. Use the raise hands button. Who knows what the three things are that you have to have before somebody buys something from you? Haley and Debbie do. So pop it in the chat. What is it? What are the three things? Who knows? Like, know, and trust. Absolutely, Debbie. Yes, Haley, bang on. God, everyone's been listening. It's fantastic. You've got to be known, you've got to be liked, and you've got to be trusted. And so if people trust blogs and therefore see you as an expert, that really helps with at least one of those. And if you write really nicely, they might even like you. And if they're reading your blogs, they already know about you. So, it really, really does help towards those three critical things: be known, liked, and trusted. Blogging also, when it starts ranking for certain terms from all those new positions that you gain from your blog, it of course is driving additional traffic to your website. This then drives up engagement that's happening on your website, whether it's sign-ups or the amount of pages people are looking at or the amount of time they spend on your website. And that in turn increases your rank with Google because they monitor all those signals through Google Analytics. Because Google Analytics is a two-way thing. We use it. We should all have it, by the way, installed in our websites to show us what's happening on the website, but Google read the data too to determine how interesting and popular is your site, and therefore how far up the results should I put you. So all of this helps with your ranking. And why is ranking on Google important? Maybe it's obvious, but what people maybe don't realize is that 3/4 of people that search on Google never go past page 1. The vast majority of people don't go past the first page of results. So if you're not there, you're nowhere. So think about your own behavior on Google. I'm sure you're the same. I am. The most trusted results in the Google search are page 1, and the most trusted on page 1 are the local results. Those are the 3 results at the top that appear next to a map. Or it used to be called the snack pack or the map pack, that bit at the top. But we're going to come back to that because that's what Google Juice is all about. So you've got to be Google famous. You've got to work and invest to become Google famous. And Google famous means you appear on page 1 for some of your key search terms. And your key search term might be dermal fillers Manchester, or skincare in Brighton, or wow facials in London, or whatever the terms are. You've got to be there on page 1, catching those interested parties that are seeking out these treatments if you want to scale. And I'm sure you will do. So this is what it takes. So in order to achieve that, you've got to be blogging as part of your ongoing and disciplined approach to digital marketing. And don't forget that digital marketing is a game of discipline. Okay, there's no magic pill, red or blue pill, that you can take that just fixes your digital marketing, except meeting a wonderful agency. But it's a game of discipline. It's marginal gains over time, and blogging is just one part of it. And I think, as I've said several times before, you can't really achieve that consistency across all these different elements of digital without both delegating and automating aspects of it. Some of it should always come from you, but a lot of it can be delegated or automated. But it's important to think that these are not once and done things. So when I say you should be blogging, that doesn't mean wake up tomorrow morning, write a blog, post it, don't get any bookings by the weekend and say blogging doesn't work, because that's not how it is. It means get into the discipline of blogging. It's no different to going to the gym. If you go to the gym tomorrow, run for 10 minutes on the running machine, go outside and complain that you're not ripped, then obviously it's not going to work for you. It's about marginal gains over time and having the discipline to bake it into your way of life. And it's the same with digital marketing. All of these different things that I talked to you about, whether it's the social media approach, SEO, automating processes, digitizing your onboarding process, conversion rate optimizing on the web, whatever it is, it's got to be baked in and disciplined and on an ongoing basis. So it's almost like every time I talk to you about one of these things, whether it's blogging, you've got to first decide, are you going to do it or are you going to delegate it? Secondly, get it in the diary on a repeat basis. That's it. You say, right, blogging, I do an hour a week to brief the person doing it for me or to write them myself. And that's it. That's you forever. So all these things have to be baked in for marginal gain over the mid to long term period. But the reason I wanted to focus on local search and Google Juice is that if there's elements of that I talk about that you haven't yet done, you will get quick results from it. And at the moment, you've all had some setbacks, to say the least. And, you know, myself and Rich are really, really trying to help you guys out. And so that was what I thought would be useful about tonight, is that it can deliver quick results. So going off on tangents. Excellent. I'm good at that. Also, interestingly, blogging in many ways beats social media because it lasts longer. You know, once a blog is up there and is ranking for certain search terms, it can deliver results for years. Whereas, you know, Instagram, as much as I love it, the post might have a life of 36 hours before it becomes a distant memory. I've written blogs 8-9 years ago that still deliver me leads today. Sometimes I'll hear from someone that's been inspired by a blog that I've written for someone else's website, and I can't even remember writing it. It was that long ago, but somebody's got in touch and said, I saw your blog about whatever it was, SEO or blogging, ironically, and I wonder if you could advise me on this or help me with that or whatever it might be. So blogging is kind of evergreen. Once you've got it right and it's ranking, there's some blogs sort of take off. They will deliver you traffic for years. So that's another thing to bear in mind in terms of kind of the effort and the reward that you get versus other channels. And not only that, but if you're writing blogs, that's actually feeding your social media content plan, because, you know, a good 1,000-word blog can also become a week's worth of social media content when you break it down into quotes, memes, you know, video clips, Instagram stories, etc. So it can feed everything else as well. And so there, it's creating content. You know, it can be the source of your next video. If you write a good blog, you could turn it into a webinar. If you write a good blog, it could be your next short course, or could even inspire a subscription package for your patients, anything. So yeah, blogging is a content creation process as well for different channels. As I said, it builds credibility. You know, that trust it can bring helps you become more credible. You're not only a great practitioner, but you're a subject matter expert. So therefore you must be credible. And people are going to feel reassured going ahead and booking with you if they land on this site and see you writing about your subject area as an expert. And what do I mean by blogging feeds Alexa? Well, writing blogs and making sure your blogs answer the questions that people are asking on things like Alexa, Google, Siri, which they ask in a more conversational way, so they use longer phrases. This brings you traffic from voice search as well as online search or mobile search, which you might not have even considered, but it's massive. Voice search is on the rise massively, and we'll cover that a bit more in a minute. But it kind of changes the way that you need to write your content and be found. And one really smart way to do this is to look at a website called answerthepublic.com, which I know you will have probably heard myself and Rich talking about before. But if you type in your top treatments and see all the questions that people have asked Google about that treatment, then you can just write a blog that answers each of those questions. That in itself is a killer digital marketing strategy that can deliver, increase Google positions, exponentially more traffic, and as a result, potentially bookings and inquiries. But it's a long-term play. But just have a look at that. I mean, that is just all the questions that people ask Google in the past few months about facial fillers. So don't ever tell me that you don't know what to write about or post about on your blog or social ever again, because that in itself is about a year's worth of blogs and social content. So definitely have a look at that if you haven't before. It's a great current strategy. So that data that you get from Answer the Public is less than 90 days old, and it's based on the kind of autocomplete questions and answers that you get in the Google box. And on the circular chart that you get there, one interesting point to note is that the darker the green circle next to the question is, the more often that question is searched. So start with those dark green ones. So there's one there saying, can facial fillers make you sick? So write a blog called Can Facial Fillers Make You Sick? And answer it as best you can. And you will pick up the traffic from people that are asking that question in Google in your area. That's the key point, because writing that blog that answers that question, coupled with optimizing your overall website around where you are, whether it be Salford, Edinburgh, doesn't matter. Anyone in your area that types in, can facial fillers make you sick? Or Alexa, can facial fillers make you sick? Then your blog's coming up. And it will go, we found one blog about facial fillers making you sick. And it was from Beauty by Rick O'Neill. And it will take you there. So that's one really smart way of just outsourcing your content planning to Answer the Public, and just follow it. Write the answers, write the blogs, use the exact questions as the title of the blogs, and you'll be flying. And blogging also helps with the Google local optimization, which we're going to talk about in a minute when we get to the Google Juice stuff. So, that blogging and all the signals that it sends to Google feeds that local presence, because it's all the signals that Google looks out for. So before we sort of wrap on the blogging bit, I just want to give you a few simple tips. So if you already are blogging, or you're about to start as a result of watching this, in fact, raise of hands, who is going to start blogging or start blogging more based on what we've just covered? Boom, 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 boom. Excellent. Everybody, I think. That's great. And I'm going to hold you to it as well, because I want to see them all. I don't think you need any longer than by Friday night to write your first one. So I look forward to seeing them. So just a couple of tips on optimizing blogs for search. Firstly, make sure that your blog has got one or two what we call long tail keywords in its title. So have a look at that example. Get the most out of your facial fillers consultation. The long tail term in that title is facial fillers consultation. So that title, coupled with your website being optimized around your location, will help you to show up eventually on page 1 for people searching for facial filler consultations where you are, right? Makes sense? Raise your hands if that makes sense. I love the raise your hands bit. Checking you're all awake. Excellent. So with the next blog you write, try this out. And ideally, if you haven't already, get analytics set up on your site so that you know which blogs are working, which are generating traffic, and which less so. And I'm also going to talk to you about a couple of tools you can use depending on how your website is built. But that's the first thing. Make sure you've got these long tail terms in the title. And again, following that data from Answer the Public is a key way to get that done in a very structured way. Make sure as well that you include these keywords in the metadata for the page. If you use something like WordPress, this becomes a bit easier, and I'll explain what I mean. So your title tag, which is actually, it's not necessarily the title of the blog, it's the title that you want Google to see. And if you've got a load of browser tabs open, this is the title that you see on that tab. That's the meta title. If you use WordPress, you can add a plugin called Yoast, which is great. Or on other website builders, they might have SEO modules or plugins that allow you to edit your metadata. And it's your metadata that needs these long tail key terms in, as well as just the blog content itself. I appreciate if you've never done this before, you might be going, what? But it is relatively straightforward. Once you've got the tools in place that you need, you can kind of follow along. It kind of guides you. And obviously, you're in AE Digital, and as long as you remain so, you can always get help from me or one of my team on how to do it. Just drop us a message. So include the long tail keywords or a couple of key keywords in the first meta title, in the meta description, which is, if you look at Google search results, you get a blue title and some green copy, usually. And if it's a site you've clicked on before, the title goes purple. Those are the meta title and the meta description. And that's what you're writing in this meta data. Don't think I've ever said meta so many times. You also need to include these keywords in the first few lines of the actual blog itself, and a bit deeper into the body copy too. So maybe 3 or 4 paragraphs in. And if you can, if you get control over what the actual link is going to be for your blog, ideally 1 or 2 of the keywords need to appear in there as well. So let's just say my blog was rickyoneil.co.uk/blog/facial fillers consultation. That would be the ideal for the blog title we were looking at, because the meta title, meta description, and the URL are the first 3 things that Google automatically scans to determine what your blog is all about, and therefore how and when to rank it, and how high up to rank it, compared to all the other people writing about the same topic. So hopefully that makes sense. Again, you can get a recording of this, you can watch it back. If I'm making sense, raise your hand. Totally good. If you're getting sick of me telling you to raise your hand, raise your hand. Only 3 of you. Okay. You're outvoted. I'll leave it alone for a little while. Next thing, your blog and its contents must be mobile optimized, right? If you've got a modern website, it should be built what's called responsively. Not responsibly, but responsively, which means it snaps to different layouts depending on what screen size it's being viewed on. So it will look like one way on a big screen, and then when you view the same website on a phone, it will change layout. that's mobile optimized. So if you look at that example on the screen, the one on the left, that's wrong. It's not mobile optimized because it's just the same as the desktop version of the site, but on a mobile screen. So you can barely read it. You can barely touch options with your fat fingers. If you're like me, it's not mobile optimized. Whereas the one on the right, it's changed. The menu's changed. The text is bigger. The image has moved. It's mobile optimized. So you've got to make sure that your website and your blog content is mobile friendly. There's a couple of tests you can do yourself to check. One is just try and use your website on your phone and be honest and think, is this a good experience? Is it easy? The second are a couple of technical tests. One is go onto Google and search for mobile friendly test, and it will come up at the very top of Google. And you type in your website address and it will tell you whether or not it thinks your site is mobile friendly. And if Google doesn't think your website is mobile friendly, you've got a problem that you need to fix, because Google will not rank websites that it does not believe to be mobile friendly. It just won't do it, because, and especially to its mobile users. So if I'm searching for what you do on my phone and Google doesn't think your site is mobile friendly, I'm not going to see it in the results. End of. Never going to happen. So they made that change actually about 5 years ago. And they used to actually have a little label next to websites as to whether or not they were mobile friendly. Now they just skip that bit, and if you're not, they don't rank you. So that's key, because it's also key because over 80% of your users, being in the general beauty, aesthetic, cosmetic sector, over 80% of your users are going to be looking at your website on a phone. So you want to give them a good experience. You want to be sure that it's a pleasant experience navigating the website and reading your blogs on a small screen. It's even more likely because you're probably going to promote your blog on your social media, and most people looking at social media are doing so on their phone. So they're going to tap the link to check out your blog, and they're going to be reading it on their phone. So for all of those reasons, your site's got to be mobile optimized. But probably the most important is that Google requires it in order to rank your blog and your website. So mobile, very important. Again, a bit of a geeky one, a bit technical, but when you're including images and videos, you need to make sure that, again, the metadata, and in the case of images, that's called an alt tag, has the keywords in it. And again, depending on how your website's built or who does it for you, if someone's doing it for you, they should know what this is. If they don't know what this is, they're not a web designer, and you should fire them immediately. If it's a website builder, it may let you edit these, it may not. If it's WordPress, it does. Not so sure about Wix, etc. I don't use them much. But most decent web builders should allow you to edit the alt tags of the images. And this just means that it makes it easy for Google to read what's the image about. It's also about accessibility. So if actually someone comes to your website and they are partially sighted or blind, they use something called a screen reader. And if you've got the alt tags optimized so that they describe what that image is about, it makes it easier for them, because their screen reading software will say, here is a photo of a lady having a facial. Whereas if you don't sort out the alt tags, someone who's trying to read your website using screen reading software, because they can't see very well, they're going to get really annoyed, because they're just going to see, they're going to hear, their screen reading software just say image 1, image 2, image 3, and they're going to go, oh, sod this, I don't know what this website's about, I'm off. So it's just a nice thing to do from an accessibility point of view as well. And it's unlikely to happen to you guys, but there have been cases where if your website's not accessible, people with a disability who had trouble with your site can raise an action against you under the Disability Rights Act. It's happened to some larger websites. I've not heard of it happening to smaller ones, so I'm not trying to panic you, but regardless of the legal issue, it's just a nice thing to do. And lastly, check that your website produces friendly looking links when you add new pages or blogs. Some web builders produce horrible URLs like that one. They don't all say bollocks on the end. I just added that because I don't like them. But if your link is not easy to understand, then it's not easy to understand for Google either. So it's not likely to rank as well. So just check that you don't get any nonsense in the address when you're creating blogs. So the one in the orange is obviously far easier to understand. If you haven't guessed already, I'm a massive fan of WordPress. It is by far the most superior platform for building sites these days. It powers nearly 80% of the internet. I'll say that again. WordPress powers nearly 80% of the internet. It's used by Apple, Pepsi, Obama, the White House, the FBI. Right, it's immense. And it's very, very good for SEO. It indexes very quickly. And it's a very flexible system. You can completely custom build sites on top of it, or there are good themes. There's also bad themes that you can get off the shelf. But WordPress will really help if you switch to it for your SEO. And if you're using WordPress, you can use this tool that I mentioned earlier called Yoast. And it basically, as you're writing your blog, it's analyzing it from an SEO point of view, and you get this kind of traffic light system telling you what you need to fix. So it's great. So by the time you've turned all the lights green when you're writing a blog, you'll know that you've got an SEO optimized blog ready to publish. So that was blogging. The other sort of digital marketing discipline that sometimes gets forgotten is email marketing, which you shouldn't forget. You know, so many people these days rely almost exclusively on social media alone to solve all their marketing problems, but email marketing is powerful, and it's actually having a bit of a renaissance in terms of engagement levels at the moment. And sometimes all you need in your digital marketing tactics or strategy is to make a left turn when everyone else is going right, by which I mean the more that people pour onto Instagram to deliver their messages, the more impactful a well-timed email is going to have from you. So think about email and what you can do with it. Blogging, all that blogging that you're going to be now doing also gives you great content you can be sharing as part of an email campaign to prospects and, past patients. And email marketing helps you retain attention of your audience because it can be personalized and personal, and it's happening in your customer's inbox rather than on your page. So they consume it at a time and in a way that's convenient to them. And email marketing actually converts to inquiries at a far higher level than social or even pay-per-click adverts traditionally. So it's well worth thinking, how can I bake email marketing into my monthly, weekly discipline? And how can you automate it as well? So the other thing to bear in mind is that email marketing these days is far more sophisticated, or it can be, than it used to be. You know, now you can have automated and pre-programmed schedules of emails, and they get triggered and sent based on certain events happening, or a patient booked a particular type of thing. So now they're automatically going to get these 3 or 4 emails over a period of a month. And they can also get triggered based on certain behaviors. So you can have it set up so that email number 1 goes out. If people don't click on it, they get this one. If they do click on it, they get that one. So you can be quite sophisticated with it. And although it's effort at the beginning to think about if you're doing it yourself, or I think preferable to most people outsourcing that, it's an effort or a cost up front. It is then a marketing engine that's happening for you without you having to touch anything. And I'm pretty sure you know by now that I'm a massive fan of automating things like that. So for all those reasons, bear in mind email marketing. It's absolutely powerful when you get it baked in and do it on the regular. So with that, and I am conscious of time, I think I said we were going to be an hour. We might be a bit more, but it'll be worth it, because I do tend to ramble sometimes and give away more than I intended. That's why people should come to my Zoom webinars. So you may or may not know, but I've got a course that I built called Google Juice. And Google Juice, the whole point of it is the local SEO that I talked to you about. And it's built around the 8 ranking factors, or the 8 most important ranking factors that Google monitors and checks about you and your presence on Google before it decides whether or not to put you in the map pack, those results with the map at the top of Google, and in what position. So I'm going to talk to you about that, but so this is Google Juice. But before I start, you need to know, I don't just create these courses for the sake of it. I want you all to take action and implement everything I'm going to tell you. So I want you all to take the oath. And so I want you to repeat after me and type exactly this into the chat. This stuff only works if I work. And I'm going to wait until everyone types it into the chat. We have to take the oath. Fantastic. Keep it going, guys. I can wait. Excellent. I think that's most people. And now type. Well done, Caroline. And now type, I will do my best to implement or outsource this program. It's testing your typing skills now, especially if you're watching this on a mobile. You'd be all fingers and thumbs. Very good. And I won't make you type this last bit. However, I do want you to commit to this bit as well. All of you watching, you're going to email me in 4 weeks' time, and that's my email address there, so write it down. You're going to email me in 4 weeks' time. What are you laughing at, Barbara? This is good stuff. I'm trying to make sure you take action here. Stop taking the mick. You're going to email me in 4 weeks' time with your progress, okay? Yes, I know, Barbara, it's a bit condescending. But it's important to me that I don't spend hours creating all this stuff and no people just listen and don't do anything about it. You know, that's pointless. This stuff works, and anybody that's done it and implemented it will tell you that. And we've actually got somebody watching this evening I saw earlier. It was Caroline. She said, this stuff only works if I work. P.S. It does, as I've done the course. So there you go. So the oath is important because hopefully it will stick in your mind and you'll remember that you committed this to me, and more importantly to yourself, that you will implement this stuff so that you can see the results, because that's what it's all about. None of us are here really for the fun of it, although I like to think I add some charisma and entertainment sometimes. we're here to get results for our business. We're here because we care about our business. All you guys watching this now, you're here on a Wednesday night getting on for 9 o'clock. You could be sat outside the pub or having a glass of wine with your partner or whatever it is. But you're listening to me talking about this because you care about being an entrepreneur and getting some results. So I'm just trying to make sure you implement this because you owe it to yourself to do so. Not to me, but to you. Enough. Shut up, Rick. So SEO is a big topic, right? Sometimes thought of as a bit of a dark art, black magic, voodoo, confusing maybe. It's mainly just about Google, right? There's other search engines, but really there's only really Bing, and that's maybe 2% of the search market if they're lucky. So it's really just about Google. And in this case with Google Juice, we're only talking about one specific part of SEO, because SEO is huge, and that is local SEO. Local SEO for local people. It's the only kind of search really in the type of businesses you guys have and the level you're at, unless there's somebody on that has multiple locations. Let me know in the chat. But for most of you, this is the only kind of search you need to worry about. If you've got multiple locations, you need to worry about this times how many locations you've got. Because there isn't really such a thing as national SEO, right? Unless you're selling mortgages or something sort of global or widely purchasable. You need people near to where your clinic are to come and buy from you for the most part, until you get a bit more digital. So this is the kind of SEO, and local SEO is a near me search. That's what they call it up at Google HQ. People open up their phone or Google, or they ask Alexa for things near me. So I might ask, Alexa, where can I get dermal fillers in Brighton? Or type in what dermal fillers Brighton. That's a local search. That's what we're talking about today, and getting your business ranking for these terms. And these types of searches have increased 34-fold in the last year alone. So it's massive. So what does that look like? It's that snack pack or map pack that I mentioned. That's what it looks like. It's 3 results and a map. It used to be 7. Now it's only 3. So it got even more competitive. And the whole point of the Google Juice program is it walks you through step by step how to achieve each of the 8 biggest ranking factors to get into that box. That's what it's about. And if you do all of the one-off tasks and continue to do all the ongoing tasks that it teaches, you will get there. It works. We see it time and again. There's also, after the map pack, a section called People Also Ask. You might have seen this on Google, and it's pulling questions relating to searches and using answers from businesses nearby. And it's possible to have your content be the answers to these questions. And I'll talk to you about that. So, for example, if you wrote a comprehensive guide to injectables, for example, then it's possible, if it meets certain criteria, and for a guide like that and to get pulled into this People Also Ask section, it needs to be a couple of thousand words long and be quite a comprehensive guide that is unique. And I talk sometimes in other trainings that I do about something called skyscraping, which is not about plagiarizing. What it's about is, if you see a guide like this, you write the same guide, but you out awesome it. You make it the best fucking guide there ever was, the most comprehensive about the same topic, and then you beat it because Google will pick yours instead. And that's called skyscraping, and it works really well. Then the last kind of element of the local SEO is the organic rankings. These are the sort of beneath the snack pack. They're beneath the people also ask section, if that shows up. Doesn't always. And they're the naturally ranked results by Google. It's the results that Google thinks are most relevant. And everything you do in Google Juice also helps you to rank in there, as does the blogging that we talked about as well. And then lastly, you got this box on the right, which is the Google Business Profile. And we're going to talk about that as well, because it's a very important element of the whole Google Juice approach. So where do we start? We start with GMB, Google My Business. And what you need, if you haven't already, is to grab hold of your GMB profile. Okay, so you've got to verify your listing. And if your business has a GMB profile, but you don't manage it, you've got to claim it. And so you'll go to it and it will say, do you own or manage this business? And you say, yeah, I do. Then you've got to verify it. And that happens, ironically, as we're talking about digital, but it happens with a postcard. So you get a postcard sent to you, you open it, you scratch it, and it shows a code like on a lottery ticket. And you put that back into Google My Business and it says, yeah, you are the owner of the business. You can now optimize your business profile. You choose your business category. You want to be including relevant keywords in the title and description of your business in your GMB profile. You can add your website, post your opening hours, your address. Ideally, if you've got premises, even if you work in another building, it's possible to still have your own Google Business Profile at that address. Google understand that sometimes there's multiple businesses operating out of the same address, but you might have to speak to them to prove that you are working at that location. I've heard of them before actually arranging a call with you and saying, can we have a video call and you show us that you work there, like show us around your clinic room. But once you've done all that, because one of the biggest things they do is check proximity between the person that has searched and your business, you need to have that address stuff verified. You'll get results then. You'll start ranking. You can place the map marker on the map exactly where your clinic or treatment room is. You can add area code for the phone number. You can include photos, etc., etc. There's loads of stuff you can do. Just search for Google My Business and also download the Google My Business app. And you can go through this whole process of populating and optimizing. So there's good examples and bad examples of business profiles online. This one's a pretty good one. So we've got Pulse Light Clinic in Bank and they've put walk-ins welcome. So they're kind of optimizing and playing with the title of their profile. They got 400 odd Google reviews on there. They've got products and service links. They've got a link straight to their appointments. There's questions and answers in there. They've set it up so that you can send the directions to your phone. There's like a map. There's a virtual walkthrough. If you look at the one on the left here, they've added posts, answers, links to their social content. It's properly optimized. And it delivers results, I happen to know as well. So really work hard on your Google My Business profile, because ones that are fully populated, ones with more reviews, more replies, and a greater sort of presence online will receive a higher ranking in that map pack. And they're just nicer to look at, easier to understand, and more likely to engage somebody. Second big rank factor is link building. And this is not a once and done thing. This is like an ongoing job. It's not easy. It's something you probably want to outsource to either a digital PR type agency or a digital marketing agency, but make sure it's someone credible. Don't offshore it, because you'll end up with dodgy links pointing to your site, and that's bad. So you've got to build backlinks to your site. Google thinks of them as votes of confidence in you and your business. Don't cheat. Like I said, you can find online people who will sell you 1,000 backlinks or something. Just don't do it. They're going to be dodgy sites linking back to you, and Google will punish you eventually. It'll work for a little while until you get caught. So do it the hard way, which is things like guest posting. So speak to other publications, magazines, blog sites about aesthetics or beauty or skincare or whatever it is, and offer to write them a blog, and even give them an exclusive. So just go to one publication and go, do you know what, I'm going to write you a blog article all about how to choose a practitioner and what to ask at your first consultation about anti-wrinkle treatments. And as long as part of the deal is that they link back to your site, it's worth doing, because all these links back to your site, they are signals to Google to make that show you as being more credible. Don't forget PR. Do your own PR, outsource it, doesn't matter. But if something's happened, you've opened a new clinic, you've got a new laser machine, or you're selling a new product, write a press release about it. Send it out to all the local news. There's no harm in it. Actually, a lot of these people are quite grateful to receive the content. And you'd be surprised what people will think of as news. So don't be shy, because you can also ask them when they publish it on the local news website to link back to you. And a link back from a local news site is actually really powerful as far as Google is concerned, because they see you as being then a prominent, trusted business in your location. Yeah, Google's massive. They're super smart. There's all these signals going on, and they connect all the dots together to determine your rank. We talked about skyscraping. I ran through that a bit prematurely, but here it is. And local inbound links, like I say, from either a news site locally or like your community center. It's just a little trick, but Google use that. They look for things like, if you're in Brighton and somebody from the Brighton Leisure Centre writes something or a page about clinic businesses or salons or whatever it might be, and they link to your website, Google sees that as a big tick. So speak to them, say, can I write for your blog? Or will you list me and I'll link back to you? People are more compliant than you might think. But it's quality over quantity when it comes to this local SEO link building. So even if you just get a few, it's worth doing. Then content. Content is the next big ranking factor that Google looks at. Okay. So as I said, there's a couple of types of content you want to be looking at. Blogging, there you're talking about 500 to 1,000 words, maybe, fairly informal. But also you need to write more comprehensive content now and again, not as often as the blogs, but write the odd big guide, or make sure you've got a very comprehensive FAQ page on your website with more like a couple of thousand words. I've heard of 1,890 words plus is where they check, and they see that as being more credible because it's clearly insightful and full of information if it's above a certain number of words. I don't know if that's true or not, but somebody who used to work for Google told me that, so I kind of believe him. Page title, keyword and town optimized. Your H1 tags, which is the heading that you see on the page of the blog, should have the keywords in. Again, we talked earlier about the metadata. Make sure it's locally relevant, and even in your content, if you can, without forcing it, mention certain local landmarks, because again, Google will piece all of that together and go, right, this is definitely a prominent business in this area. So when people search in that area, I'm more likely to show content from this clinic's business and this website to them. Your NAP, your name and address and phone number. Sounds obvious, but so many websites forget to do this. Your name, address, and phone number has to be on every page of your website. Duh. It's sometimes the only reason people are coming to your website is to get that stuff. Show it, make it easy to find, and make sure it's written in the exact same way every time it appears on the internet, because Google will piece all of that together again to drive people to your site. Then there's another geeky one called schema code, and this is probably something you need help with from a web developer. But schema code is code that goes into the back of your site, and it tells Google who you are, where you are, your phone number, what reviews you've got, all these different bits of metadata about your business, which if you get all that plugged in and optimized, you get way better results in the ranks, and you get nice features underneath your listing in the Google search. It will show your reviews, it will show sublinks to certain treatments or pages. If you've ever seen that on bigger websites, that's all they're doing. So you can compete with some of the bigger players if you follow all of this stuff. Then we talk about something called citations. And a citation really is just a fancy way of saying when people write about or talk about your business somewhere else on the internet, or even if you have. So the first thing is your NAP, your name, address, phone number, must be consistent everywhere it appears. The authority of your citations. So again, local newspapers, general business directories. Make sure every time your business is in one of those listings that the way it's written is identical. Sounds stupid, but even down to the phone number, if your number is 012345 888 111, write it the same way every time. If you put a gap between them or all the numbers together, write it the same every single time, because Google pieces all of that together about you and builds a profile of you. I'm not making it up. It's how they do it. Then we have reviews, and I know you understand the power of these, and I also understand that actually they're sometimes difficult to get if people don't want to post a public review, but you've got to work hard on them because they're really powerful in terms of your ranking. Okay, so make it easy for customers to review your business. Google and Facebook are the most important reviews to get. Start with Google and keep going with Google until you've got more than your next competitor, right? And then switch to Facebook reviews and then go back again. That's a little strategy for you to follow. Promote your reviews. So every time you get one, reply to it, thank them on Google, and use that as social content and include them in the testimonials on your website. So get the best out of them. Ask for reviews. Automate it if you can. Leave an iPad in reception with the Google listing open with a sign next to it saying, here's how you leave us a Google review about your experience with us today. Incentivize it. Okay. Did you leave us a Google review? Thank you so much. Have a gift voucher. And encourage it, you know. And if you get a negative review, reply to it quick, really quick. Then we have something called on-page behavior, which is the 6th most important ranking factor that Google check out for you all the time to determine where to rank you locally. And the way that you can keep an eye on this is to have a look at something called Google Search Console. It used to be called Google Webmaster. It's now called Google Search Console. It will tell you where you're appearing in search, whether you're competing or not. It will tell you the click-through rate. So if somebody searches dermal fillers Brighton and you are there, it will tell you how often they click on your result versus everybody else. It will tell you your bounce rate. Yeah, you can also get this in Google Analytics. Your bounce rate is if someone hits your website and leaves immediately without going to a second page, they've bounced. That's all about the first impression that you make with your website. Could be your homepage, or they might have landed on a blog. But you've got to think hard about what's the first impression. Do I make it obvious where people should go next to reduce that bounce rate? The time that people spend on each page, this signals to Google, if they spend a long time on your site, that it's quality content. It's relevant to people. Mobile clicks to call. So this means on your website itself, if they're looking on a mobile, are they tapping your phone number and calling you? This means that the way the content that your website is optimized around is bringing in people that are interested in that, so much so that they're calling you. And it also refers to the button on your Google business profile, which they can call you directly from as well. So if that's getting a lot of taps, again, they see you as credible, relevant, and popular, and they rank you higher. Just a little tip there. So wouldn't it be a shame if all your friends clicked that and phoned you? Directions to the business as well, which you can also click from the Google business profile. That's again showing Google that when someone has searched and you have appeared in the results, they've trusted your listing and they've also intend to come and visit you. So again, that adds to your credibility. Who's still with me? I'm going over time. Shall I keep going? Is it good stuff? Some people are still with me. That's good. Some people have put me on mute and they're watching the news. Okay, next thing. Google refers to this as personalization. Okay, but what it really means is mobile and voice. We talked about mobile optimization, so I don't need to hammer that again. Speed is really important. So how quick your website loads is really important, especially for mobile users and to your rank with Google. And you can test this if you go to Google and type in page speed insights, put your website address in there. It will give you a score out of 100 for your desktop site and your mobile site. And if those scores are red, you got a problem and you're not going to rank very well. So if that happens, give me a shout and I'll help you fix it. Someone came to us with a very slow site they'd had built by a very posh agency, which they spent a lot of money on. But that particular agency might design pretty sites, but they run dog slow. So we just in a few hours increased their site speed from 27 to 90 out of 100. So we can easily sort it out for you in most cases. So go check your site speed because that's really important. Important to Google it is, and also to people, because if the site doesn't load very quickly, they're just going to get fed up and leave and go to your competitor, which you don't want. Voice search, again, we talked about. You've got to optimize the way you're writing content in the way that people ask. Voice search, it's more conversational, it's a longer phrase. So include these terms in your content and in your Google business profile, because in your Google business profile, which you get to through the Google My Business website or app, you can put posts in there like you can on your Facebook page. And you want to be doing that on a weekly basis with these key terms in those posts. 8th ranking factor is social media. Google monitor your social media engagement to determine where they should rank your website. Did you know that? Well, they do. So obviously, grow your followers, your engagement in all the ways that we've talked about before. Work on getting shares, likes, retweets, etc. Google are also checking the number of times your business is mentioned by other people on social media. That's called earned mentions. And it's a very powerful metric. If you are earning mentions that are not on your page, because obviously you're going to post about yourself all the time, but if other people are talking about you, that's a big signal to Google that they should rank your website higher. The age of your Facebook page, the number of reviews on your Facebook page, how complete your about sections and impressums and stories are on your Facebook and Instagram pages. And again, your name, address, and phone number. Is it consistent on your social with the Google profile and on your website? Can they tie it all together to build a complete picture of your business and therefore see you as credible, complete, comprehensive, and they'll rank you higher? It's like getting all your homework done to get that A grade. That's what Google want. So there they are. Those are the big ranking factors that Google needs. So that's all your homework and you committed to it. Don't forget. So I'll just go quickly through that list again. We talked about, this is about winning at local SEO. This is about getting into that snack pack at the top with the map and the people also ask section and the organic rankings. And the 8 big factors that help you do that are the Google My Business profile, backlinks, content, citations, building your reviews, working on improving on-page behavior, optimizing content for mobile and voice search, and continuing to work on your social media engagement as well. Whew. It's good, eh? So some of the tools that you need for the job are one of them, and a pair of those. That's it. You can actually do a lot of it yourself, is what I'm trying to say. Maybe you don't want to, maybe you want to outsource it. That's fine. If you want to do it yourself, the Google Juice course is there for you. Other courses are available. I'm unlikely to promote those. If you want to outsource it, we've also got a done for you version of that, which is called AE Digital Bronze, just for the SEO bit, or Silver for SEO and automation. Or if you also want a new website and shop, you go for Gold and you get SEO, automation, and a new website. That's all in the group if you want to check details on that. You also need Google My Business, which you can get to online or on the app. You're going to need to register your website with the Google Search Console and make sure you get Google Analytics plugged into your website. And you might need one of these, which you can only get as a member of this, AE Digital. And if you didn't already hear, the decision has been made that as of 12th of September, which is my birthday, AE Digital, the group that you guys are in, is going to become a subscription-based group. There's a huge amount of value in the group, and we're asking for the price of a couple of coffees a week, basically. Anyone that's a member now is considered a founder member. So you're getting a founder member price. It's going to be $15.99 a month. Anybody new after that, it's $19.99 a month. And that pricing was determined by the group, by democracy, via a poll, which had about 80 responses, and people had a choice of $9.99, $19.99, or $29.99, and everybody chose the middle one. It's what most people do, actually. If you offer subscription packages, bronze, silver, gold, most people go for silver. But what do you get in that group? You get answers to questions. You get the occasional free fix if you ask nicely. You get help from my team members as well, access to exclusive content. You get tips, often daily tips, templates, checklists, Facebook Lives. You get regular webinars like this one, access to courses, and there's even more to come the other side of 12th of September. So essentially you're getting access to 20 years worth of digital marketing knowledge for the price of some cappuccinos. Can't say fairer than that, can you? And remember, with regard to Google Juice, you took an oath. No, really. So these are my contact details. If you've got any questions, obviously you can find me in the Facebook group, but guys, my number, put it in your phone, WhatsApp me, email me, whatever you like. I want to help, and I can get you results. And that's why I'm here. So with that, I'm going to have a sip of drink and I'm going to check the Q&A section, because there are 10 questions in here so far. So let me have a look. Question 1 from Haley. How do you know a blog is ranking or working other than someone telling you they wrote it and getting in touch? Telling you they wrote it, maybe read it. How do you know a blog is ranking? You need Google Analytics set up and you need to keep an eye on it. And you can check in Google Search Console around certain key terms whether your blog is showing up in search results for that key term. So hopefully that answers that question, Haley. But the way you know if it's working is whether it's getting traffic, and Google Analytics will tell you that. So I've answered that one. Approximately how many words is a blog? So a good blog is about 500 to 750 words, something like that, up to 1,000 maximum. And then the more comprehensive guides and informational content or FAQs should be heading more towards 2,000 words. That's that one. Where would you post a blog? Right, good question. So there's a few places you can do this, but the primary place where your blog should live is on your website. And if your website doesn't have blogging functionality now, then give us a shout and we can help you add it, or at least point you in the right direction for you to do it yourself. Most website builders platforms, whether you use Wix or something like that, or whether you've had an agency build you a website, a blog can be added if it's not there already. It must go onto your website first, because that's where it remains evergreen. That's where you start to get traffic from Google, etc. A common mistake I see made is if someone writes a blog, they get very excited about the fact they've written it. They stick it on their website, they stick it on medium.com, they stick it on LinkedIn, they stick it on Facebook. And actually that can hurt your rank because it might be seen as duplicate content by Google. So get it on your website first and only there until it starts to bring traffic. Then you can start to syndicate it. But if you do, you have to do something called canonical tagging, where you tell Google, look, this is the original of my blog. Anything else is a copy. That's important. It's a bit technical. You might need help, but the answer, Barbara, is on your website whenever possible. We have an anonymous attendee, which is awesome. And they have asked, how do we find this circle of questions? So the circle of questions comes from a website called answerthepublic.com. So go there. You get a couple of free goes with it, and then they try to sign you up. But you can come back a few days later and get more free goes. So have a look at answerthepublic.com. Claire Harbridge, how long does a blog need to be? So I think we answered that, but it's 500 to 700 words. Elizabeth, do you need a particular template on your website to do a good blog format? You don't need a particular template, but a good blog, like any web content, is easy to visually read. So it shouldn't be really heavy blocked paragraphs. It should be a mixture of small and medium length sentences or paragraphs, bullet lists, images, and even video. So break it down, have pull out quotes in there. So it's kind of rich in terms of content. Blogs seem to work better if it's single column rather than main panel and right-hand panel, which a lot of them have, they seem to work better if you just focus the user on the content. They tend to read it all. But you can get templates. So again, if you're using WordPress, there's lots of good blog themes that you can add, or speak to us about helping you, or if you've already got a web agency, speak to them about it. Tezine, does a blog need to be in words or video? Right. So both, but start with the written blog. That's what traditionally a blog is. A blog in the form of a video is now known as a vlog, but you can make that afterwards and have it sat on your YouTube channel, because you can also SEO optimize your YouTube videos. So if you write a blog about facial filler consultations, write it in words on your website, then make the same as a video and post it on your YouTube channel. And the fact that you've got both of those running will give you much more chance of ranking for those questions. Claire, is there a cost to Yoast? No, there's a basic version and there's a premium version, like with most of these things. So you can have it for free initially. So if you've got a WordPress site, go into the plugin section, search for Yoast, and you can install it. Rahila, what about for your online offerings? Rahila, ask me a different way, because I don't understand that question. What about for your online offerings? I don't know. So I'll come back to that, Rahila. If you can post in the Q&A, maybe to confirm what the question refers to, I will try and answer you. Actually, let me just stop my screen share so you can see me a bit better. Haley, for Google My Business, can I use the first part of my postcode instead of the whole thing? I work from home, so I only share my address once a client has booked an appointment. Yeah, that's a tricky one. No, you can't just use part of a postcode, unfortunately. So you can kind of swerve the location thing. It's not ideal because it's based on proximity. Or you can try to set up like a virtual office somewhere in town and use the postcode for that. Although you still need to go through the verification process. So you need to do it somewhere where you can pick up the post and prove that your office is registered there somehow. So it's a tricky one if you're from home and you don't want to give away the address. It does slightly hamper you a little bit, unfortunately. So there we go. Haley, Richard has mentioned a company called Rev before. Are they the ones who turn video into written format? Yes. Yeah. So you upload your video into Rev and they give you a transcript back of it. So that's exactly right. Yeah, you can do that, and then you can edit it into a blog, cut out all of the ums and ahs that you might have. So yes, rev.com for that. Rahila, this was about local SEO if you don't want to limit to local, e.g. online skin consults, product sales. Yes, yeah. It's still, all of these things still apply to your products. But if you're running an e-commerce business and you're trying to rank nationally for those products, number one, start with Google Ads instead to get you up and running quicker. Number two, you need lots of other types of SEO work in addition to this. So you need on-site SEO. That's lots of technical elements of SEO around how your commerce section is set up, how the products are described, and you need lots of off-site SEO to get your products indexed and ranked nationally. So that goes a bit beyond what this program's about, if I'm being honest. So that's answered those. Quickly check the chat section. Yes, keep going. Oh, yes, all that. Good stuff, but a lot to take in. I know, Louise, it is a lot. Teshins, you're not allowed to mention Botox. Well, you can mention Botox if you're describing Botox and you reference it in the correct way, and you're not marketing it, you're answering questions, you know, like you would on any good health site. Debbie, oh dear, my score is 18. Okay, Debbie, you need to get in touch with me. Haley, no wonder people pay you to do all this shizzle. yeah, because it's annoying. That's why they want to delegate it. I don't mind. It's my life. Caroline, certainly good value. Thank you very much. Barbara, no worries. Not allowed to mention Botox, so how can we title it as such? Well, as I say, you're allowed to provide information. What you're not allowed to do is promote it on social media. So yeah, check the ASA enforcement guidelines. If you read it carefully, you can actually provide information and reference information about Botox. You'll even see that on big sites like Glow Day. You know, they're just being factual about the prescription medicine and what it's for. They're not saying get your Botox 10% off, which is what the ASA doesn't like. So hopefully that answers that, although I am not a lawyer. So check with a lawyer. Guys, how was that? Useful? Pauses. There we go. Excellent. Do me a favor, you guys, if this was useful, if you're happy, and if you're going to implement, please, in the main Aesthetic Entrepreneurs group and in the Aesthetic Entrepreneurs digital group, please go and tell everybody about the webinar. Somebody's mind is blown. Claire, excellent. Happy to help. Blown your mind. But yeah, if you found it useful and you think AE Digital is going to be cracking value, please go and tell everybody in AE Digital. I'll be very grateful. I really want to help you guys out. And with that, and if you're happy to do that, raise your hand. It's easier than typing. Ding, ding, ding. Thank you. Right, guys, I'm going to give you your evenings back. Thank you for coming. And I look forward to catching all of you in AE Digital very soon. If you've got questions that we haven't covered, or you want to get in touch about some of the things we've talked about, you've got my details. Okay, just reach out, lean in, get engaged. You get out what you put in. If you implement the things I'm telling you, you will get results that more than pay you back. I promise. So keep at it, and thanks for being here. And I will catch you all soon. Cheers, guys. Good night.